This is Peter, and we're trying take 2 of P&K Q&A for January the 10th. I've invited Crow again. Let's see if it works. Okay, Crow wants to be in the video. Okay. Approve Crow. There we go. Crow is being added.
There we go. Holy shit.
My goodness, how about that?
Okay. Now I'm going to have a well-deserved cigarette.
Yeah. Sometimes you do everything right and it still doesn't work. I guess is that the lesson from 2020?
Oh God, yes. We knew when it turned 21 and started drinking, we were in shit. Oh. How's everybody feeling so far? Everybody's fucking nerves frayed right to the fucking what? Right
Almost.
to the soft tissue? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about kind of both sides of that in a little bit. Did you have a couple of things probably you wanted to cover? Or we can kind of get the dynamic going, and we'll figure out some stuff to talk about.
Oh, I've been enjoying watching the demons dance in the streets. Oh yeah, they're celebrating. They're having a grand old time, and they haven't got 2 fucking clues what's on the horizon. None whatsoever. But it's, believe it or not, it's probably going to get a lot worse.
I wonder if it might. Yeah. Anyway, before we get too far along, I came up with kind of a consolidated, what would you call it? A different version, slightly reduced of that prayer for the community and the world. So I just wanted to kind of run that by everyone and see what they thought of it.
Ah, okay.
So yeah. Heavenly Father, bless the councils and the mayors of the villages in my rural municipality. Bless the council and the reeve of my rural municipality. Bless the city council and the mayor of the capital city of my province. Bless the MLAs and the premier of my province. Bless the MPs and the Prime Minister of Canada. And please bless all of the people of Canada. May we have the courage to stand up for what is right. Bless the Congress, Supreme Court, and President of the United States. Bless all the people of the United States. May they have the courage to stand up for what is right. Bless all the world leaders. And finally, Father, please bless all the people of this world. May we have the courage to stand up for what is right. Amen.
Amen. And I would add that I pray that the commanders in the U.S. military remember their oaths to the Constitution.
To uphold the Constitution, protect it from all threats, foreign and domestic.
And right now, they've got it coming from both sides, both foreign and domestic. And yeah, I'm surprised nobody that they haven't seen it yet. And who knows, maybe they do see it, and maybe they're all sitting in a room right now looking over the evidence, and they're struggling on what their next move is going to be.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, not everybody's going to agree with military action. No, there's going to be, because I mean, holy shit, look at what's going on. I mean, the big purge on Twitter, every demon and deplorable individual that has crawled out from underneath their rock, and they're just praising the censorship.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, wow. I was like, this is reminding me of Nazi Germany, is what it is. how everybody praised the locking up of the Jews, praising the locking up of those that didn't support the party. And, and then in the end, what did they get?
Yeah. The same thing they were for. Yeah. So I've been thinking about, I guess, my argument for I was talking with some people who are kind of concerned about what the military might do, but I would remind them, I guess, that the target is still the swamp. So if they're hitting that, I'm good. I mean, that's my position. So.
No, it's my position too. It's like fucking, attack the swamp. But right now, like they've actually shut down all of Trump's communication.
Mm-hmm.
His Twitter account, personal Twitter account, gone. POTUS, President of the United States Twitter account, gone. White House Twitter account, gone. Mail service, gone. It's fucking, they've taken it all from him. He has no lines of communication anywheres. None whatsoever. And he's not on Parler, and he's not anywhere else. All lines of communication for the President of the United States have been cut off. If that doesn't scare the shit out of you, then you're operating off of one brain cell. I'm sorry. But that should scare the shit out of everybody. Because meanwhile, the Ayatollah in Iran, down with America, kill infidels, fucking no problem. That guy stays up. Various other dictators around the planet, no problem. They get to keep their Twitter accounts. Hell, even the pedophiles have got to keep their Twitter accounts. It's like, it's just fucking nuts that, and this is pretty much what I expected. I expected all the evil to have their way, and all of us that are of normal mind, no, we get cut off. We're done. And shit, and it's devastating for people, and there's a lot of people scared, not because Trump lost, but it's because the radical left is going to come after them. I mean, just people not know that there's already internment camps built in Canada, right here in Saskatchewan. Isn't that great fun? We talked about this before. It's like they're COVID isolation camps with 6-foot fences with barbed wire across the top. Yeah, that could have been done with a 4-foot fence if all you're looking is just to contain people, with COVID. I mean, why do you need a 6-foot barbed wire fence? So it's happening, people. It's happening, and it's going to keep happening, and things are now going to move fast. But I'm not worried about it. I'm chill, because in the end, God wins.
Yeah, what's the last phrase in the United States Pledge of Allegiance? Justice for all?
And justice for all. It will happen, because the thing is that America is the United States of America. It was divined by God in the beginning and has been blessed by God since its inception. And God has not forgotten. And it's and if you think that's nuts, look at how much the United States has influenced the world over the last 150 years with technology, technologically, socially, and governmentally. They have. And yeah, I mean, you can be like, well, what about all the false wars that they were in? I didn't say their leaders were perfect, and I didn't say that they were honest. But overall, as a nation, America has been blessed. And it will
has
continue.
provided to its people and the rest of the world. For
Exactly.
the parts of the world that I would say there's a net benefit, not 100% benefit. The detractors of America have certain valid points. However, I'm not sure what this recent sudden obsession with the negative is. I'd like to quote something from a book called Life's Little Instruction Book, one of the ones that I actually wrote this on a piece of paper and attached it to a light fixture above my bed so I can see it when I go to bed and get up. It is, strive for excellence, not perfection. Strive for not perfection.
And that is what America as a nation has been doing. And remember what I said before. In God's universe, free will is absolute and potential is supreme over actual. Mm-hmm. So even though the US as a nation is not actually perfect, the potential for perfection is there because of the foundations that were laid in 1776. And it's those foundations that has sustained America up until this point. And now there has to be a reinvention of the American experiment. And I believe that Trump is the last and also the first president of the United States. And you're thinking to yourself, well, how can that be? I mean, we can understand maybe the last, especially with the events that are going on right now, but how can he be the first? He can be the first president under a new constitution. And it's not going to be very much different from the existing constitution that you have right now. But what's going to happen, and this has already been done, people, but we're going to go through the motions here in the next couple of months after this shit show is settled. And once this is all settled, well, actually, it'll probably be about a year. But once this is all settled, then the new constitution will be implemented. And the reason why it'll be implemented is because right now, we already know that we cannot rely on the Supreme Court to interpret the Constitution properly. We already know that. I mean, they've already proven how ineffective they are. And, because there was no reason to not take on the lawsuit from Texas. Zero reason. Their excuse of no standing is bullshit. I mean, if a state does not have standing in the Supreme Court when they bring a suit against another state, then what avenue of relief do states have? There is no other avenue of relief except secession. And who wants that? I mean, is the U.S. military really prepared to start firing on American citizens? Of course not. And here's the other kicker, people. Trump's oath of office from 4 years ago still stands. He does not have to be reinaugurated as President of the United States. Didn't think of that one, did you? Technically, if Joe Biden is arrested before his inauguration, Trump's oath of office stands and he becomes president. Because he's already taken the oath, and that oath does not expire until the next president takes their oath, and then he is relieved of his oath. It's like anything. It's like being an officer in the military. You do not abandon your post until the next guy shows up. It's that simple. I mean, if you are given an assignment, you give an oath to that assignment. You're not relieved of that oath until your replacement shows up. So his oath stands, and I can't see how Joe Biden is not arrested. I mean, there's an outstanding warrant for his arrest and Hunter Biden's arrest in the Ukraine right now, and there's also one in there's an outstanding warrant for Hunter Biden's arrest in Latvia, uh, and I'm pretty sure there's another country in Eastern Europe that has an outstanding warrant for Joe Biden's arrest. So, I mean, is America really going to let a president sit in the White House that has outstanding arrest warrants from different countries before he even gets in office? That's insane. And if it does happen, then America becomes a joke, an absolute joke, and it sets China and Russia up to slip in there. Russia's playing both sides of the street right now. Don't forget that. They're playing both sides of the street. They're working with China and they're working with America. And all Russia is doing is waiting to see which one is going to come out on top, and that's the one they're going to stick with. And that's because that's just the way Russians are. They don't hedge their bets. They go after a sure thing, but they're going to stay in neutral mode until they see everything fall into place. Why do you think Russia has been so quiet? They haven't said peep, because they're waiting to see if Joe Biden is inaugurated. Russia's going to choose the size of China, because they know China's going to win. If Joe Biden is arrested, chances are the Russians will still be quiet, because I don't believe that there will be an inauguration this year. I think that Joe will be arrested, and President Trump will remain in the White House.
I'm going to post the short message. I found it on the White House's YouTube feed, and I sent it to you. It's about 2 minutes and 40 seconds long, and it's what Trump said on the 7th. Right.
Yeah, I know. I've watched it a couple of times just to get a clear, because he doesn't mince words. I mean, what he says is what he says. You just got to know how to. Once you have you got to have a good understanding of the words and grammar and syntax. Well, not so much syntaxing, but grammar, or your thoresis, because that is how Trump talks. He talks with double meanings, and you got to really pay attention, because you only get the meaning through other parts of it. And everything that he said, there was only one part of that whole speech that was important. Our journey is not over yet.
Yeah.
Why say that?
Yeah. Our journey is only just beginning.
Yeah. Why say that?
I'll put that in the show notes so that anyone watching can look it up if they want.
And as for everybody's like, well, he says that there's going to be a smooth transition. So that means that he conceded. Go back to his very first speech when he was inaugurated in 2017. It's right there. He said, we will have a smooth transition of power back to the people. He said that. And now, 4 years later, there will be a smooth transition of power back to the people. I mean, that's personally what I think he means.
Yeah, that's what I got out of that when he said there will be a smooth transition of power. It's not going to be from Trump to Biden. At least that's not what he means by it. It's going to be a smooth transition of power from the swamp to the people.
Oh.
Or from, yeah, that's what I thought it was.
And also, keep in mind, y'all have forgotten, the Pentagon refused to give any information to Joe Biden's transition team. You think they've changed their mind about that? They cited security risks. So what? It was a security risk 3 weeks ago, but it's not now? The military's not stupid. There might be stupid people in the military, but as a whole, the military's not stupid. And, there's generals that are patriots, and they're not going to watch their country go to shit. I mean, they've been in foreign countries, and they've seen what happens when corrupt governments fall. So they got a choice. They can either seize control of government and start having trials and arresting these people, or they can wait until the mob loses their mind and starts attacking. And if you think that little riot on Capitol Hill was something, if the army doesn't do something real soon, that little run on the Capitol building would be nothing compared to what it will happen. I mean, my first thought was, when they announced Joe Biden was the new president, my first thought was like, thank fuck the ground is frozen, because if it wasn't, everybody would be digging up their guns right now. So, yeah, so that's what could happen. Yeah, once people get pissed off enough. I mean, we don't want violence. I'm not calling for violence, but I know where things go. All you got to do is just look in history and see how far it will go. And the problem, and it'll be worse later, because right now people are only a little pissed off and a little scared. When they get really pissed off and really scared, that's when the problems are going to happen.
So let me segue, I guess, into something that I started to realize, I guess, yesterday evening. I kind of had it in my mind that, and it was when the calls for unity and healing started happening, and an hour or so after that, I kind of realized what that could entail. I thought, okay, well, the healing can start, we'll drain the swamp and then the healing will start. Well, maybe it's not quite so linear as that. We have to reach out to those who are, let's see, how do I've been having trouble speaking the way I want to say things recently, but remember let's see, I think you said Michael was big on having people learn stuff from themselves. He could give the lesson, but so maybe we have to start reaching out to those who are a little bit outside our comfort zone, but still decent people, and start the healing process in the I can't say what I want to say, but the healing and the draining of the swamp are maybe concurrent, not one then the other. Sort of. I used to think it was like, well, you have this medical, in medicine, there's, if you have some kind of big pus-filled boil, you're supposed to lance it and drain it, and perhaps the political cosmic equivalent has begun, and then once that happens, then that part can heal. But on a societal type of thing like this, some of us who are a little stuck maybe need to become unstuck and work. Start looking outside our comfort zone and realizing that these people they're not bad people. They just have this one thing that makes them tune into fear more than they should, and we need to connect with them on all the other points of them that are good.
The problem is that there will be no unity so long as those people are not willing to embrace truth.
Right. No, I understand.
If they cannot embrace truth, then there is nothing that you and I could say or do to try to convince them. And I mean, it's really too bad. And I think Michael's plan, I think, is super ambitious. I mean, he only wants to lose 1% or less.
Yeah.
I mean, what the fuck, buddy? I mean, 1%. I mean, have you taken a look around lately? I mean, nobody is. I mean, there's too many people that embrace lies. They embrace inequity, and they embrace lies. They embrace their sin, and I don't know what it's going to take to change that. And here's the kicker: I'm not so sure if he's just talking about the continental U.S. or he's talking about the whole damn world. And if it's the U.S., okay, that's somewhat less difficult. But if you're talking the world, that's almost an impossibility. And
yeah, let me clarify. I'm not talking about on the cosmic level. There's not a whole lot we can do directly. I'm not talking about knocking out whatever it is that's influencing these people. That's not our job, and it's not something we're capable of doing at this point from where we are. I'm saying we're one of Michael's tools to do it, and there are certain things we can do, and I'm just sort of speculating on what Michael has in mind for us to do on our level. We can't do Michael's job entirely for him. We're not capable of doing that, but
actually, there is something that we can do every day on this level. And the prophets told us what to do. They told us over and over again what to do. And Jesus himself even told us what to do. And that is to pray.
Mm-hmm.
And not only pray, but they all say the same thing. Pray all day. Now, y'all sitting there thinking to yourself, what do you mean pray all day? Who's got time for that? We misunderstand what the prophets meant because we don't know. Say a lot of the words coming when the books were translated from their original Hebrew, we don't have enough words in our language, so we end up using the same word over and over again to describe two very different things, but things that are similar. And so what the prophets meant by being in prayer and be praying all day is they meant that we should be walking in mindful awareness all day, every day. Every mindful awareness of, what's going on around us. And, again, thinking of solutions.
Yes.
Thinking of solutions in our head. Like, it's like, this is why we always search for what Michael is doing. Because then we're like, okay, if you're going to do that, maybe it might be a good idea to check this and check that. Because thing is that Michael draws all of his energy from us, and we draw all of our energy from him. And so you're like, well, how does that work? Imagine an engine whose fuel is its exhaust. Now you see? And so it just runs in an infinite loop once it's primed. Michael spent the first, 3 billion years in this universe, just staying at the center and concentrating and imagining his universe growing. And it did. And he couldn't leave that spot for 3 or 4 billion years. He was in that spot. It was only after that he could leave. Now, I've pictured, I've had visions in my come to me, and I don't know. Sometimes I think they might be influenced by Autobots, because uh, I see this place in the center of Salvatron, where the center of the galaxy, or is it Solitron? I forget. Anyways, what's that?
The home in the show The Transformers, the place they came from. Cybertron, isn't it? I think.
Cybertron, yeah, but the center of our galaxy, Michael calls it Solitron or something like that. Oh, Salvington. Yes, Salvington. Yeah. Okay, so the center of our universe is Salvington. Okay, Michael could not leave Salvington for the first 4 billion years of building his universe. And when I was picturing what was going on at that time, Michael was in this sphere, and inside this sphere was this huge display and controls, and he would just sit in the center. Now, these were not like levers or anything like this. They were controls, but Michael could move them with his mind. And what he was doing at that time was he was setting his mind up in such a way so that all the necessary things to keep time and space running, like all the automatic stuff, like like our breathing and our heartbeat and our blinking, these are not things that we are consciously aware of happening all the time, but yet we are doing them all the time. Well, Michael had to set up those components first. And that took about 3 or 4 billion years for him to set up all those components so that they just work on their own. So he doesn't have to give them much attention. And these are most of this is the elementals. And then once that was completed, then he could leave that area and he could go be with Nebadonna, which is the name of the physical being of our universe. And she's likened to the Holy Spirit. But so Michael is the energetic and spiritual component of the universe, and Nebudia is the physical and time controlling component of the universe. I think you said it before. It's like it's all the planets and the stars. That's the body of Nebudia, and Salvatron sits in the center of all of that. And so once he could leave, then he could start building out his universe. How did we get on that?
I'm not sure. You said, I was saying how, let's see, I was saying what we could do on this level, how we could serve Michael. You know, Michael is working on one level.
Oh,
and
yes.
I think he it is his hope that we can understand and accept and do the tasks that he requires of us at this level to assist in the furthering of his plan and the
And yes,
plan, draining of the swamp and whatever, all of that stuff to whatever little degree we can. And I was just speculating as to what it is exactly that he would like us to do on our level to accomplish that.
I've got it. It's actually kind of half amusing, but we all know it, and we've all kind of taught ourselves it. It was from a few years ago. It was a really big thing. What was it called? Oh my God, I got the book around here somewheres. It's when you're like picturing the future and what you want the future to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Visualization.
Visualization, but there was what was that book? And they made a movie of it too.
What belief do we know?
Nice one. I love that movie. No, but right around the same time, there was another book and movie released.
The Secret.
The Secret.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Okay, you read The Secret?
I have.
Yeah. So you know what it's all about. It's about visualizing your future, right? Okay. This is what prayer is, all mindful wakefulness, and what the ancients called prayer, because to them, prayer and praying were two different things. Okay? Praying is consciously talking it out with God. Praying is mindful awareness. Be constantly aware of your surroundings. Be constantly. Why do you think we were told by Q to have situational awareness? That is the precursor to having wakeful awareness. Okay. Because what Q was telling us was, start paying attention to the shit that's going on around you. And because Q knew, just Michael knew, that if we started paying attention, then becoming awake to what reality really is that will sanguine into that almost seamlessly. Because once you start paying attention to shit and you start looking around, you can't help but start asking questions.
Yeah.
And this is
awareness.
Yeah. This is what when the Urantia book talks about people with normal minds question. That is what Michael is talking about. When they say that all those with normal minds qualify for soul survival, it means all those minds that have the ability to formulate and ask a question. So if you start by just being aware of your surroundings, know that know what's to the left of you, know what's to the right of you, pay attention to what's in front of you. Just constantly know and be aware of where you are at. And then, and at the same time, you'll be thinking of like other things. It's like, be thinking about the universe, about God, and how everything fits together, and how gravity works. I mean, some of the greatest thinkers in the world, I mean, started, their deep philosophical thinking by paying attention to the world around them at first. I mean, for the Greeks, it was watching nature. I mean, they would spend they would have their youngsters. They would take their youngsters out to nature. They would spend years just studying nature. And you would just ask, and the teachers would start by just asking the kids very simple questions. Why is that bee landing on that flower? And the clever kids caught on to, asking good questions and looking for answer. The dumb kids, they didn't learn anything. But that's this is what Michael is doing. And if he believes that only 1% of us are not salvageable, that's pretty crazy. That's a crazy number. I mean, I'd put the percentage a hell of a lot higher. I'd put another zero behind that one. And I'd think that would just be a modest number. But he wants to save 99%. Don't know how he's going to do it, but whatever way he decides to do it, it's probably going to get burnt into the human psyche forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And let me reiterate here. We were saying about you were saying, the best way to help America and the world is to pray all day, all the time. So I wanted to speak to about how one might go about doing that. And I'm going to go back to when I was heading home from our the chat we had on, which one was it, before the election. It was like on it was Halloween, October the 31st. And I was talking with Michael. I said, well, what should I do? I don't quite have your abilities. And he said, well, how about praying? And I said, okay. He said, well, go ahead and get started. So I started repeating to myself, God bless America, over and over in my mind, whenever every moment that I remembered to do that, I said, God bless America, over and over again. And then later on, I changed it to God bless humanity or whatever. But it's some kind of a affirmation or a mantra or a whatever word you want to use. And it ties into this situational awareness. You pay attention to your surroundings, update your plan in real time. That's what situational awareness is. So you could start with something like God bless America, or God bless humanity, or justice for all, or something that fits with some kind of short affirmation that you can repeat over and over again in your mind. And it may change from time to time. But it's you just kind of keep part of your mind in that mode where you are putting out good vibrations, basically, is why you say a mantra. It's a thing you focus on to make that, to remember to make that happen, or it's a little more complicated than that, but that's part of why you do that.
And the thing is that back to The Secret is, if you follow the principles of what The Secret teaches you, I mean, it's the way that they have it set up. It's pure Luciferian.
Yeah, we've had this discussion about the law of attraction and all of this stuff. Kevin Trudeau teaching the law of attraction, even Abraham Hicks, who appears to have a slightly higher purpose in teaching the law of attraction. And it's interesting how different people perceive different things. I think discernment played a part in that. I caught it. I don't know how many people did that. Even in Kevin Trudeau's program. Your wish is your command, how to manifest your desires. It's a program you can actually buy on CDs or something. I was listening to that, and he went through all the basics and all the, how to use the law of attraction and stuff. And he said, you can use it to get stuff and positions and things, but always the thing you actually want to be focusing on is keep feeling better, keep your happiness, your etc. So there's a question of how, kind of he's being a salesman for that. He wants to sell this stuff, but he put it in there, whether knowingly or not, I do not know. But anytime I mention or talk about the law of attraction now, I remind people that the basic thing to do if you're wanting to do anything with the law of attraction is use it for, say, improving yourself as a being, or your relations with others, or the world, things like that. And you could, because that's the basis. I think they said if you want that better job, you want that car, etc., etc., etc. The mechanics of it are you get your own vibration right, and you are feeling so great, and you can kind of pay attention to how maybe in your life this worked. You decided you wanted something, and you started focusing on it a little bit, and at some point just before you got this, there was this feeling like, I'm absolutely going to get this, no problem. Apply that to your growth as a being, your uplifting of yourself, the uplifting of society, etc., etc. So if you're going to use the law of attraction, I would suggest, and I'm not 100% sure exactly how to say this, but that you be unselfish with it, I guess. Would you say? What would you say, Crow? Say,
I would say
I want good things to happen. I want to feel good. I want to add value to society. That sort of thing.
that is exactly correct. You see, this is what I was getting at. They teach a Luciferian version of the hey Claire, of the law of attraction, and which is me, selfish is what it is. And I recognized it right away, and I was like, that's disgusting. And then I seen the consequences of such a thing too, is because if you're constantly taking, I mean, sooner or later, the universe is going to take back everything that you took.
Yeah,
that's inevitable. It's going to happen. So I've always made the observation that in people's lives that I've seen people who've had life handed to them on a silver platter in their younger days, all right up through until they were like in their 30s. And then the silver platter went away and they were royally fucked. My life ended up being the exact opposite. I had a shitty first half, and then things progressively got better as I got older. And you know what? After seeing what has happened to people that I grew up with, I'm like, I'm glad I had the shitty stuff first, because I was younger, I was stronger, and I could handle it. I mean, I think about some of the shit that I did and how I had to live to survive, and I think to myself, I couldn't do that now. Holy fuck. And I certainly wouldn't want to. I mean, shit, I went years just running on like fucking 2 or 3 hours sleep just to stay ahead. I mean, it sucked. I couldn't have even imagined doing that now. I'd be dead within a year. I mean, because I'm older. But so that's what the law of attraction ends up doing to you. It's like it's like the jinn. I mean, the jinn will give you your wish, but there's a price to pay for that wish. And, and that could it could manifest itself in a million different ways. Now, the way the law of attraction is supposed to work, and this would probably be something that the Melchizedeks would probably teach, I imagine. But you're supposed to attract the creator energy of the universe, is what you are supposed to do. That is the purpose of prayer and praying, is that you are constantly looking to take in the creator's energy. And once you start doing that, then you will start to pick up the habits of creation. And then once you start picking up the habits of creation, then you become the creator. And then you began to manifest the universe. This is what Michael wants us for. This is what, and the thing is that when you take the time to do that, all of this works over time. You see, they shortcut it. The Luciferian version shortcuts the law of attraction by focusing on the object that you want. There's a reason why we are warned against idol worship. We'll get into that sometime too. And so you end up attracting those things, and then you'll get it. But you also got to remember, you're taking from somewhere else, and that's a void that has to be filled. And that and since you're the one doing the taking, well, the void is going to be filled by taking something from you. It might not be anything that you notice, but over time, it will have an effect on your personality, on your health, and on your soul. It will have its effect. But if you are attracting, using the principles of the law of attraction to attract the creative energies, this is why Jesus said, I stand at the door knocking. All you have to do is let me in. He's talking about letting in his energy. And since Jesus is Michael, you're letting in the creator. You're letting in that creator energy into your core being. And then that energy, like I said, will go to work. And then you keep bringing that energy into you. The law of attraction. And one way to do it is to be in constant mindful prayer and be constantly praying to Michael. And then once that energy has gotten to a certain level, which it's happening a lot faster nowadays. I mean, usually fucking people, it took people a lifetime. I mean, some people were different. These are the exceptional people that we have in our society. They usually end up being prophets or great teachers. And so they fill up quicker. But it's starting to get to a point on this planet where they're filling up quicker, especially amongst the children. Mm-hmm. I mean, the children are, I heard one prophet say, the children being born have the spirit of Isaiah. Now, Isaiah when I think of Isaiah, what I see is a vessel for the creative spirit of this universe, for Michael's spirit. That's all Isaiah was. He was just a vessel for Michael's spirit, and that made him great. I mean, nobody dared stand against him. And so the difference is like anything else. It's great. With great power comes great responsibility. I mean, we all heard that line. It's true. So if you shortcut the law of attraction, you're not being responsible with that energy. You're just being selfish with it. And we've all watched the superhero movies. We all know the bad guy's the selfish one. I mean, Peter Parker, when he started out in his journey, his hero journey, he was selfish and he lost his uncle. There was a price to pay. And then he spent the rest of his career as Spider-Man making up for that mistake. And, you know, and he became stronger, but he came stronger over time with experience and with understanding, and that made him more responsible with the power that he had come into. It's the same thing with us. It takes time. We have to fill ourselves up with the creative energy. We got to allow it to permeate us, and we've got to grow, and we've got to learn. And then we've got to understand that, we have to be responsible for this. This is why in my own life, I always try to just think about I'm always thinking about what Michael's trying to accomplish. And it's like, so that I can add my creativity to it. Because that's what he's making us. He's making us active creators within his universe, co-creators. How many times did he say that in his teachings? He said, you will be co-creators with the Father. Well, he's talking about himself. He says, you'll be co-creators with me. And that's what he meant. Is like, we will be co-creators, creating a better universe into light and life. And that's only going to come with wisdom and responsibility. I mean, wisdom without responsibility is inequity, essentially. And, so that's what we need. We need wisdom with responsibility. I don't know how he's going to do it.
No surprises. That's his MO.
I think to myself, shy of opening up the heavens and say, listen up, fuckers, I don't even know. And even then, half the people on the planet would be like, the aliens have arrived.
It would be. I just had a whack thought. It would be, at this point, it would be easier for most people to believe in the arrival of extraterrestrial beings than, that Jesus actually is a person who is returning to this planet.
I know.
Or yeah, so
I know you are absolutely correct. It will be much easier for people to accept the Star Trek narrative than the Urantian narrative, by far. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are other life forms out there, but every planet vibrates differently in the universe. We cannot go to and stay for any length of time on another planet that's harboring intelligent life. And they have a complete set of adjunct spirits. We can go to planets that only have the 5 adjunct spirits, and then we will create the vibration so that the planet is livable for us and whatever life forms are on that planet at the time. But we're compatible with billions of other life form vibrations that we can live with side by side. It won't be too much of a leap for Mars, because Mars is within our solar system, but the vibration of Mars is not going to bode well for the first settlers. In order for us to settle Mars, we will have to establish the Father's temple on Mars. And we are not at the point of understanding the energies of the universe to even understand how we were even supposed to design such a structure so that it will bring the vibrations of the planet into proper alignment so that we can be on it. That's probably 1,000 years down the road for us. And this will be basically the MO for every planet that we settle that is not harboring intelligent spirit or father fused life or spirit fused life. And so we will have to repeat this for every planet in order to align its vibration. And hopefully by that time we'll know what planets we can settle on and what planets we should not settle on. I am certain. And yeah, so there's going to be no alien invasion. If there was going to be an alien invasion, it would have happened already. I mean, my God, there are paintings from 1150 that show unidentified flying objects in the sky. Somebody witnessed that shit. Crop circles have been around forever. I mean, the only reason why they get attention now is because we can fly. It's as simple as that. I mean, most farmers just, call it the devil's lawnmower, but most of them were just like, chalked it up to like, a mini tornado or what have you. And but the more superstitious ones said is devil's lawnmower. So that's pretty much what the farmers chalked it up to, a couple of 100 years ago. But then when we started flying over these fields and we see crop circles, we're like, wait a second, that's a shape. You can't see that shit from the ground, but you can from the air. And no farmer was taking any time out to walk a crop circle. And besides that, the crop circles weren't complicated back then. They were mostly just circles. Have you seen the ones that come out in the last 10 years? Holy shit. There was one back, I think, in the early '80s. 200 and some odd circles. It was just a big spiral. You remember that one? It just
so, yeah. One spiral with a bunch. Yeah, it looked like a galaxy basically.
exactly, and all those circles were perfectly connected at their centers.
Yeah.
All 200 or 180 of them, or whatever the hell it was. I'm pretty sure it was over 200. That's a lot of fucking circles, and that fucker was big. And I laughed when they said that, somebody went into the field and made that. I mean, for one thing, have you ever walked through a field? I'll tell you right now, I have. And even in the daytime, you're at risk of breaking an ankle. I mean, you're watching where your feet are because there's these the ground rolls because of how the seeds are put in and shit. Peter knows. And you got to be careful. And then the gopher holes, forget about it. Well, in Great Britain, it'd be rabbit holes. And
the ground is uneven. The plants tug at your legs. It's quite challenging to walk through most kinds of crops.
Yeah. And they want us to believe that these people are doing it at night and not leaving a footprint.
They even had a show that had people. Was it Mythbusters? The crop circle guy on or something. Yeah.
They did. And here's the kicker. They did a crop circle during the day, and it was just a simple one, and it still took almost 8 hours. In Great Britain, I'm not even sure in the height of summer if there is darkness for 8 hours in Great Britain.
Probably not.
I think it's 6 hours.
It's like the it's like the latitude we are at right now, or even further north. It's like L'Orange or something. It's dark for 4 hours at night, maybe,
Yeah,
and not completely dark even.
and people even here. I mean, the first time I came out to Saskatchewan, I was surprised that there was still you know, it was still twilight at like 10:30 or 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
I was just like, wow. I was like, you could still see. Yeah. So, yeah, that's and the thing is and the sun's right back up at what 4:30, 4:30 in the morning during the summer here. Yeah, I mean, I love the summertime. It's like, holy shit. I mean, as soon as it's daylight, I'm outside. I love the summers here. Days are fucking long, lots of light. New Brunswick, sun comes up at like 5:30 in the summertime. So yeah, anyways, that's what walking awareness is. Walking awareness and the the secret, just stay in awareness. Stay in walking awareness of creation. And that does a lot to help Michael. Because, I mean, everybody needs a cheerleader, don't they? I mean, you know, cheer the guy on. He needs all the strength that he can get,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, the same thing. I mean, what do you think has kept Trump going all this time? It's the millions of people that love him. I mean, if it wasn't, I mean, I sometimes think the only reason Trump had rallies is because he needed to lift his own spirits. I can't think of anything that would fucking fire you up more than looking out at a crowd of 250,000 people all cheering your name.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, and people called him narcissist for it. I was like, are you fucking kidding? I was like, even the greatest athlete in the world fucking isn't going to get over the line without people cheering for them.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something from when I started doing my motivational programs. I learned that I got as much out of doing the program for a group of people as I hope they got out of it from attending.
Mm.
It was really motivating for me to be there and to be giving this program and to having them ask questions and give feedback and yeah, it just made it helped me improve the program as well as helping them maybe improve their lives.
Mm. Exactly, and that's what's supposed to happen. I mean, it's the same reason why Jesus loved teaching. I mean, he taught all the time. He loved teaching. It's because he got just as much out of it as the student did.
Yeah.
The difference between him and the student was he had the advantage of years and experience. And when he was a tutor to the young Indian lad, I mean, Oshawa got just as much out of Jesus being his teacher as the young Indian guy did from learning from him. And I mean, he got a good understanding of what people were craving for, because the young Indian from like a completely different part of the world, he wrote a paper, and I think he entitled it "The Religion of Oshawa," no, he entitled it "Our Religion."
Yes.
And he wrote it out, and and what religion meant to him. It's a beautiful paper. Yeah, he did a good job, and it was one of the things that Jesus used in his teachings, because this is what men were craving, and they wanted this understanding. But the problem was is that other men were in the way, telling them something different, even though they knew in their hearts it was wrong. Just like people nowadays, it's like they are looking, they're looking for God, but they don't know where to look, because the Bible doesn't cut it. Not in our 21st century of understanding. I mean, I look at the Bible now as poetry. That's what it is. It's poetry. I mean, you want poetic language, read the Christian Bible. You want understanding and more concise truth, read the Urantia book. Yeah, it reads like a textbook, but it's giving you answers and understanding. And then once you've done that, then you go back to the Christian Bible and read the flowery language, and you'll get more out of it. Because, I don't, too many people have taken too many verses and words out of context.
Yes.
I remember sitting in church and then having the preacher read this one little verse, and I'm just like, where's the context? There is no context. That's why I call the Bible poetry, because poetry doesn't need context.
I know when I was, oh, Jared's watching. Hi, Jared, welcome. I know that when I was, after a while of going to church, I would take the bulletin home with me and then look up the passages in the Bible and read at least that that whole chapter, and sometimes the whole book that it was in.
Yeah.
I read at least the chapter that that verse appeared in for a little bit of context.
Yeah, I used to do the same thing. And then I'd just be like, oh, then I'd think about what the preacher said, and I'd just be like, buddy, you made no fucking sense. And it just, it's, and it would just set them up. But it got to the point to where the pastors that were not very, I don't know, I'd call them fake pastors. They just avoided talking to me because I would challenge them on questions. Well, what about this part? Well, you said something different like 4 weeks ago, right? They didn't like that I remembered. They didn't like it. They liked the other people better because they didn't remember what he said, because they filled their heads up with soap operas through the week. They'd remember what the soap opera said, but they wouldn't remember what their preacher said. Kind of messed up, I always thought. But yeah, they didn't like it, and I would question shit. My favorite thing was like, all heathens are going to hell. I was like, that's bullshit. I thought you said God loved everybody. It's like, and what makes a person a heathen? Oh, because they don't agree with your religion. That still didn't make any sense to me. No.
Yeah.
And the Urantia book tells us very, very clearly that God is known by many, many names. It's the essence behind the name that matters. That is what matters. When you look at Brahma, the god in India, and you look at what he represents, I'm like, you can keep your god Brahma. Just make him the father of the universe, and then everything else will fall into place for you. I say this to my Indian friends all the time. I'm like, you're Brahma, that's great. But just understand that when you think of him, think about creator of the universe, a loving father with a personality. And they get it. They get it. And they're like, yeah, that makes sense. And I was like, there. I said, pray to Brahma. Doesn't matter what name you use. It's what you're thinking, what your heart is saying when you say that name. That is what matters. What is your heart saying when you worship your God? I think Jesus, Jesus tried to say that. I think he tried to say it like a half a dozen different ways to the apostles. It's like, it's like the old lady that could only donate a penny to the church, and everybody scoffed at her. But Jesus said that penny is worth a fortune because of what was in her heart, her reasons for wanting to give.
Mm-hmm.
Because she gave that penny for the time and place that she was in. You got to understand the culture. For the time and place that she was in, that penny represented hope for her soul survival. That's what that penny represented to her. Jesus looked at that and said, that woman has more wealth than all these rich guys because she truly, truly wanted to be a better person and to do better. But in the culture that she was in, she was considered nothing because she had no money. If she had money, then she would have been given respect, and she would have been given position. But respect and position means nothing when you have no spiritual currency.
I was going to say something, but I forgot. But it's like when one goes to the grocery store, she says, "Do you want me to get you anything for the trail mix blend?" And I say to her, "I could have told you just a moment before you asked me the question." Completely blind. Yeah. So we were talking about the. Oh yeah, no, I was going to say that God is known by many names. I think the Native American indigenous First Nations in North America got it kind of closest. They call it the Creator or the Great Spirit or something like that.
Yeah, great spirit of breath, the breath giver. Uh, I mean, you can't expect other cultures, other planets, other races to use the same name as us. This is why we need the gift of discernment, so that we can discern the difference. And I mean, I'm grateful that I've acquired this gift of, a while ago.
Yeah.
And
yeah, we got a few of us got an advance demonstration of it, I guess, or whatever it was. We
but
figured it out, and then now, yeah. So,
well, here's the thing. I asked for it.
mm-hmm.
That was the difference. And
Okay, yeah, no, I
but
understand.
yeah, but I didn't understand what it meant, or I didn't quite understand what I was asking for. What I wanted to see the bullshit that people spewed out of their mouths. I wanted to know the difference. Instead, what I got was being able to tell whether people are spiritually aligned or not.
Okay.
That's what I got. So yeah, people can still bullshit me, kind of pisses me off, but I can look at their spirit and I can tell whether or not they're being genuine. So yeah. I can feel people's bullshit when they're not being genuine. And usually that does translate into a lie. But if you're telling like what we call little white lies, oh yeah, it goes right over my head. You couldn't do that with my old man though. You tried to tell my old man a little white lie, he went after you. He was just as bad as Gordon Ramsay. like that. I mean, we've all watched Kitchen Nightmares. The owners tell a little lie thinking they're going to pull one over on Gordon Ramsay, and he comes after them because he could smell it. He could smell bullshit a mile away. And yeah, I always thought to myself, yeah, that's how the old man was with people. It just got to the point where people just never lied to him because they just knew better. But yeah, discernment. We need discernment. Know the difference. And it's helpful when you're trying to help people too, because then you start to know, you know, which people are receptive and which people are not. And
Yeah,
usually,
can we give a little definition of what discernment actually is? I mean, I think I kind of know, but maybe we should clarify first what it actually is, and then maybe kind of what what the
in
will be going forward of having it or not, or at what level it might be able to propagate through the population.
in its simplest form, discernment is being able to recognize truth. That's a simple definition, and that isn't. But most importantly, it means recognizing spiritual truth. And if you can recognize spiritual truth, then you will be able to recognize spiritual lies. And that will help us on the road to light and life. Because when we start rejecting the lies and the Luciferian philosophy, then then we begin to embrace truth. Again, right back to the law of attraction. It's, they the universe is not built on survival of the fittest. The universe is built on principles of reciprocation. The universe is an engine that runs on its own exhaust. That's what the universe is. Runs on its own exhaust. And if you disrupt that balance, then it's got to find balance somewhere else. And that somewhere else could land on your doorstep. And if a planet does this, then that balance could end up landing on the doorstep of the planet. If a universe does this, then that balance will land on the universe of the doorstep of the universe, and the engine will just start knocking and beating itself to pieces because it's now unbalanced. I mean, has anybody ever had an unbalanced wheel on the front of their car? It, the faster you try to go, the more uncontrollable that vehicle becomes. And that's what the Luciferian philosophy is trying to propagate on this planet. Look at how our economy is set up. It's like, make more, build more, consume, consume, consume. It's like, holy shit, people. It's like, how much can you consume? I mean, it's a ridiculous and what we should be doing really is we should be building like factories that can rotate. It could build curling irons for 3 months, stock up, store, and then it could build clothes irons for another 2 or 3 months, depending on the need. And then once you have reach that threshold of satisfying need, you retool the factory to make something else simple. And these are things that we have to get into learning how to do.
I think
Because
3D printing will facilitate this quite well, because you can make all sorts of different things with the same machine with a 3D printer, or that kind of technology, laser cutters, plasma cutters, all this computer type stuff that can cut things out. I thought that
there's some things that
question, what?
there's
Go ahead.
some things that 3D printing can't do.
No, I know that.
I'll give you one example: layered circuit boards.
Mhm.
They're quite the that's quite the technology right there. But go ahead.
Yeah, so the reputation for quality of, say, Caterpillar equipment, right? There's some question about how good they are today, but say, back in the 80s through the 50s and 60s, cats were bulletproof.
Yeah.
So the question is, if you build a machine that requires minimal maintenance due to failure and so on, how do you stay in business? So the solution I came up with is you build, you have a factory that's flexible, like you said. It produces its primary item, the Caterpillar equipment or whatever, and then it can build other things on some kind of secondary thing, so that it can sell the machines at a reasonable price. I mean, what, Rolls-Royce or something, the cars were super good, but they sold them for 10 times more than a Chevrolet, or more than that. So that's how they stayed in business, because they built relatively small amounts of these very good cars. So my goal was to deliver superb quality to the general public. So you'd have to price it very aggressively. So that can be done, but how do you keep the company in business? So you have to have several other income streams, I guess. So that's something I think about a lot. How do you build your Caterpillars and your Rolls Royces at a nominal profit, modest profit, and keep your company in business?
These will have to be models that, of course, we'll have to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that it's amazing that we're still burning fossil fuels,
Mm-hmm.
when so many inventions have come forward in the last 100 years that could have taken us away from fossil fuels. And the thing is that if we had a one size fits all power plant, most of the manufacturers, automobile manufacturers that exist on the planet, would probably go out of business tomorrow. Because people, and then the only thing that they would be good for would be making parts. And we're only talking drivetrain parts. And you have the one power unit making it. But they don't want to go to that, because they wouldn't make any money.
Yeah.
We have to rethink how people can earn a living income, is what we have to do for our future society. And the internet can play a very large role in that. I mean, I've watched a video. There's this guy, okay, in Vermont. He owns a little farm, and he does YouTube videos, and he does pretty good YouTube videos. He's quite entertaining, and he has a little duck farm. He was able to do a shit ton of maintenance on this farm that he has because he bought an old farm. It's like a 110-year-old farm or some crazy thing like that. And so it needs to be fixed up. He was able to fix that up and buy a brand new little Kubota tractor, probably cost him about $60,000, maybe 80, because he got quite a bit of equipment with it. All from his YouTube and social media income.
Okay.
Not crazy? And this is how he is supplementing the income to fix up his farm. Him and his wife work outside the house. She's a nurse, and he works in an insurance company in town from their farm. And so they're not like completely independent, but I was impressed that his YouTube income afforded him to buy a new tractor, brand new. So this is how things can materialize in the future. People will produce content, they'll get paid for it, and this will keep the economy flowing. Well, then, and I mean, to me, it's like it's a wonderful opportunity for people to earn a living. Now, for someone like me, that's not appealing to me. And so there are plenty of people like me. I'm happy to be the boots on the ground and keep all this shit running for you. I got no problem with that. I just want to be paid properly to do it. I mean, I got no problem, making sure that you got gas coming to your house so that you stay warm, so that you can, do your YouTube videos in the comfort of your home and, get the job done. Because you're making money, you pay me, and I pay my bills. What a wonderful situation. And I've said this to you before. It's like, YouTuber in a small town makes a shit ton of money doing YouTube videos. That's small town benefits. Because if they really love their little town and they don't want to move, well, if they've got money, chances are they're going to build a nice house. So the old house gets torn down, got to bring in carpenters, electricians, cement trucks, backhoes, what have you. It's money going out the door. Boom, nice house. But maybe it's got a big lawn, or maybe it's a big house. Now you need to hire ground crew and more money being spent out. And now, those people really don't want to run to, take the hour and a half drive into the big city, so some clever guy gets smart and he opens up a small grocery store. So now he's doing the running to town once a week, brings it to his grocery store, sells it to the people in the town. Now he's making money and paying his rent. And then next thing you know, maybe those people might like to have a little corner coffee shop. Somebody gets clever and they open up a little corner coffee shop. Boom. Now the people with money are going to spend their money on coffee. See how can all. So this is what has to happen, is that we need a way for people to create remote income. And the internet can do that. Now we just need to figure out a way that we can do monetary exchanging.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to say that I figured cottage industry would be huge in the future, and in ways that we couldn't imagine. Certainly not 10 years ago, but kind of can't imagine even today. But we're beginning to imagine. But yeah,
I think
the economy is going to be pretty much redesigned.
yes. My suggestion is as soon as the new free internet comes out, it won't be free, but we'll all be paying for it. And it will be worldwide, so that no matter where you are going to be able to connect. Buy some property in these small abandoned towns, seriously, and start fixing up the place, because people are going to want to move to these places.
Yes.
really fast. They're all going to want to get out of the city. And then what you'll see is that you'll start seeing like all these dead towns, especially here in Saskatchewan. That's like, everything's closed up, but most of the infrastructure's still there. You start buying those properties, people are going to move out there. They can do, if they can work from home, I'll guarantee you they're going to look for a place out of the city. And some of these people, they're not gonna want a modern house, a modern looking house. People are gonna want cottages. They're gonna want
Yeah.
their house to look like a cottage, you know, with all the 21st century stuff, but they're gonna be looking for like small cottage houses. You're not gonna see big gaudy houses going up in these towns because they're just gonna want to just relax, and they're going to want to they're going to want that. People want to go back to the small town thing. Small town community is what they want. One guy said it. He lived in a city of 3 million people, and he had to get the hell out. So what he did is he started living in his van. He fixed the van up really nice. He started living in his van, and so, I mean, he was already alone in a city of 3 million. So he wasn't worried about meeting people, right? But he was just looking for a way to, like, get away from his bills and get away from his neighbors because they're all fucking crazy. He was better off, parking on a street somewhere and having a sleep than he was trying to sleep at home. So that was one of his motivating factors, is that he was getting a better sleep in his car. And so he had no real intention of like getting out of the city right away. He was going to live in the city, keep his job, and live in his van. And then when he started venturing out of the city and just started, getting out into smaller communities, he started making connections with people. Next thing you know, he meets a girl, and now that girl drives around with him in his van. She's got a van too, apparently. They hooked up. She was living in her van. They hooked up. They met each other. They like each other. Her van parks most of the time now, according to the last video I watched. I was just like, that's crazy. That is fucking crazy. I mean, people want to make connections. They're just not making them in the big cities. And the Rancho book advises us that cities shouldn't be more than 1 million.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, but then you've got like these, they got like, take a look at Los Angeles. I mean, it's huge, and it covers a lot of ground. But I think that it would be wiser for them and places like New York as well, because these mayors of these great big cities sometimes have more power than the governors.
Mm-hmm.
These cities should be broken up into smaller sections and have multiple mayors over those sections that are responsible for those parts, their own police force. They'll have to cooperate on water and sewage and stuff like that. But then each part of the city would be able to like concentrate better, and you would be able to better serve the city. Because we all know in these big cities, huge swaths of the city get overlooked. Because, oh, I've got more money over here, so I'm going to concentrate over on this part of the city because that's where I'm making money. But meanwhile, this other part of town where poor people live, there's not a grocery store for like fucking 5 miles. That's a long ways to walk for a lot of people. It's a long ways to go in a city. Anybody who lives in a big city, they know trying to go like 10 kilometers in a city, I mean, it's a 30-minute drive. I mean, I was in Montreal. I mean, I remember sitting in traffic for like an hour. I mean, I just smoke a lot of cigarettes, and I'd just be like, turn up the music, and I'd be like, well, I guess this is happening. Nothing I can do about it. I mean, I watch the idiots in my rear view trying to do something about it, but all they end up doing is fucking up traffic behind them. And so I'm just like, you know what? I'm just staying in line. So, yeah. But if you like broke a city up and you put mayors, then that mayor would work to get grocery stores in his parts, in his places, and make sure that his people is taken care of. I mean, right now you have counselors, and you know, the counselors are being bought off by the rich part of the city because they don't want to dump money into the poor part of the city, so they pay off the counselors in the poor part of the city, so because it's cheaper to pay them than it is to dump money into that part of the city. Or maybe you just don't like the people in that part of the city. Who the fuck knows what motivates people? But that's the problems that we have. I mean, I don't think that, I mean, big government to me is, I don't like big government. I would rather have 100 smaller pieces with their own responsibilities. And guess what? That's how the universe works too. If a God can divest himself of any responsibility into another being, God has and God will do it. There's only a few things God has kept for himself. One of them is God's the father of all personality. God is the only one that can bestow personality on intelligent beings. No other being in all the universes has that power. And guess what? Michael does the same thing in his universe when he bestows his spirit, his personality on the people. It's almost the same thing the Father's doing. But when he bestows his spirit on a people, those people stay in his universe. I mean, maybe later on, after, maybe successive graduations, they could go on to fuse with a thought adjuster, leave the universe, and make the journey to Havana. Or maybe a thought adjuster will, I don't know, fuse with them long enough to get them to Havana. I don't know, but I think once a thought adjuster fuses with you, you're pretty much there, unless you choose to separate yourself from that thought adjuster. Again, that's choosing. That's your free will. But yeah, you can choose to merge, to be one with your thought adjuster, but that takes time because you've got to work your way up to the point to where you are of the same mind as God. Again, filling yourself with creative energy, filling yourself with creative essence, gain that wisdom, gain that responsibility to understand what it means to be a co-creator in the universe with God. And that can take time. I've only got an inkling of an idea of what that means, and I'm sure it means much more than what I think it does. And yeah. Anything to add?
Not really. I think we covered it for now. It's just struck 4 o'clock, about 4 o'clock.
I'll say I know that I know that a lot of people are probably feeling anxious of events that have taken place over the last week. And all I can say is just relax. Relax. Remain in prayer and be praying. And just be mindful of everything. I have no idea what's going to take place. The only thing is that I can't believe that God has abandoned us. And I don't think so. I think that part of me, part of me, part of me sometimes thinks that this is Michael wanting us to experience the cross with him. Part of me thinks that we as a society, as a people on this planet, might be old enough to go through the experience and to understand. Whereas a child or a childlike society or race would take it as being punished and not take it as being taught something, being privileged to experience something unique in the universe. Because no other planet has experienced the death of a creator like this planet has. So to me, if Michael wants to share that experience with us, then so be it. It's a gift, really. It's a gift of understanding what he went through and why he might have went through it. And so the journey's not over yet. But I think that we might have, I think we've suffered the worst of it. I think so, because I'm just looking at what people are saying and doing. And one guy said it best that for the last couple of days, he's been feeling like a soldier on a battlefield, stepping over the dead bodies. And he's just walking in shock. And I was just like, buddy, that's rough. That's really rough. And yeah, that's where we're at. And you could be like, people can be like, oh, they only lost their Twitter account. You don't understand. This is the 21st century. I mean, digital death is almost almost like physical death. Actually, that's kind of I was actually thinking about that. I said, this is because when I was watching The Purge on Twitter, it every time like one of my favorite Twitter accounts disappeared, it was just like it did feel like they died. And you know why it felt like they died? Because I have no other connection to these people whose conversation I enjoyed, that I connected with online. I mean, some of them got taken down. I was gutted. I was like, oh my God. And it was like they died because I'd never be able to talk to them again. It was the same thing, but they're not really dead. They're living somewheres on the planet. I don't know where any of these people are from. I know where some of them are from, and but I don't know their physical address. And yeah, they're digitally dead, and I am going to miss them. They were friends, and but yeah, it kind of made me think. It's like, wow, it's like when we die here, we're not really dead. We just wake up in the real. But it's the same thing with their digital death, though. They're not really dead. They live somewhere, but I'll never be able to talk to them again until our communications are restored. And when you think about it, okay, that's just how I feel. Imagine people who are way more emotional than me. I mean, that will be a day of rejoicing for them when they wake up and see these people back on Twitter. Makes you think, doesn't it? I don't think we've ever been in this position on this planet. I'm not sure if any planet has ever been in this position. This is like, this is just craziness. I mean, as far as, I mean, if that's the metaphor you want to use for digital death, then Twitter assassinated the president of the United States. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, MailChimp, they are all complicit in the murder of the U.S. president. Wow. You would almost think them.
Let's see how that works.
I hope the military recognizes it like that. Because if they did, they would be more upset than what they are right now. Because if they looked at, as Trump's digital death as, it's not a physical death, but they basically killed his voice. And that's paramount to assassination. I mean, how'd they used to silence people in the past? They used to cut out people's tongues. Or sometimes they would assassinate them. This is the equivalent of social media cutting off Trump's tongue. It's the equivalent. And nobody sees it like that. They just took the leader of the free world, the United States of America, pulled his tongue out on his desk in the Oval Office, and cut his tongue off. The sooner the U.S. military recognizes it for what it is, the sooner we can move through this. And I can't understand why they haven't recognized this yet. Their president, their commander-in-chief was just assaulted, and he never left the White House. He's been assaulted, and the military's doing nothing. Of course, we don't expect anybody else to do anything. Certainly not anybody in Congress or the Senate. I mean, these people are all a joke now.
I'm just going to finish with, I guess, a couple of comments. I guess they said because of the speech that the president gave on the 6th in the morning or early afternoon or whenever it was, I don't know the time, but I'll try again to find it on the White House feed. I have had not so much luck doing that, but I'm watching what channel? Some American mainstream media channel has it, and I'm watching I was about halfway through it yesterday, and I'll see if I can finish the rest of it today. And I thought I would see what the president said that anybody could even make a case for incitement on. And other than the remarks about how messed up the election was, or the election fraud, which at this point everybody has come to expect from the president to say, we've said it for the last
exactly
month. That's nothing new. So I don't see anything in there exactly. I mean, they're probably going on the knee-jerk reaction that the radical left has done. Like they have an emotion, they basically make it into law or something. They basically act on that. Like they were assaulted because he said something, or they attributed He didn't even say it. They attributed something because they looked at the president speaking and they got a scary line. Oh, incitement to violence. And I quoted you that thing that he said. I think I know a bunch of you are going over to the Capitol later to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. Oh yeah, that's incitement. Sure. I don't think so.
That was about the only new thing that President Trump said that day.
Yeah.
And you said it correct. He didn't say anything that he hasn't said before. So all of a sudden, the same thing he's been saying for the last 2 months suddenly incites a riot. Yeah, I don't think so. And besides that, it's all a joke. I mean, has anybody bothered to look at the footage from that day? For one thing, the police let them in. And what Trump supporters were in the crowd thought that they were being allowed in.
Yeah.
They really did. When Antifa, the embedded Antifa people started doing things, it was the Trump supporters amongst the crowd that were stopping them.
Yes.
There's plenty of footage of that happening. Did you see the footage of the police just standing down? They were just like, once they realized that that they were being set up, they refused to pull their weapons, and they just walked through the crowd and walked away. It was like, we don't want any part of this.
Yeah, I summed up the situation like this. I taught on some social media and stuff there, and I actually didn't pursue spreading my opinion as aggressively as I have sometimes, and I'll mention, I guess, why in a bit. But what I said was the peaceful Trump supporters were patriots. Those who did violence were terrorists, whoever they appeared to be. I suspect there's some kind of false flag thing going on there.
And yeah, and quite frankly, it was probably expected. I mean, I can't imagine that the Patriots would not have expected this. So somehow this is playing into things. And as far as I'm concerned, it had a net benefit because it really revealed who was on Trump's side and who was not, who was a patriot and who was not. I mean, basically, this was the one event that Trump really, really needed all of his supporters to participate in. That's why he wanted them all to come to Washington. He needed their participation in this part of the plan. That's why he called out so many times for them to come. And the Patriots showed up because their commander-in-chief asked them to. And they did exactly what Trump expected them to do. Uphold law and order. And they did. And it is only a radical left ideology that would paint the 2 million people that showed up in Washington with the same brush as the few hundred that stormed the Capitol building.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why I didn't aggressively. In a few cases where I thought that it was appropriate, I said what I said, that I distinguished between the patriots and the terrorists, and it's kind of like we talked about earlier. We need to wait a little bit, or again, I have trouble putting into words what I'm thinking for some reason at this time, but we need to wait for the seed of discernment that you say has been planted on a broad scale on this planet. We need to wait for that to grow so that it can be effective when the people are presented with certain information?
That information, it's going to start with election fraud, move through corruption, and then on into the trafficking stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's all connected. And the trafficking stuff will probably be about middle to the end. But it'll be interspersed throughout this whole thing. Because there's no way these people can get away with this. I mean, people need to understand these monsters have been eating our children. That might be a little hard to believe, but that is what they count on for your reaction, is that it is such an outrageous thing that there is no way to believe that it happened. But it's happening. Go look into Haiti. How many children have gone missing since the earthquake? They had to go somewheres. And I don't even know why they call them missing children. Let's just call it what it is. These are abducted children. Just because you can't find them doesn't mean they're missing, or that you can call them missing. They've been abducted. And on Hunter's laptop, there are pictures. Pictures of children arriving taped up in a crate. Children dressed in bikinis and dressed up to look like little princesses. There are pictures of Obama with a girl, and then a picture showing you the box that girl arrived in or shipped out. It was probably being shipped out because she was quite bruised up. These are things this is the reality that people are going to have to come to grips with. The corruption shit, that's easy. I mean, it's just money. Money laundering, that's easy. Y'all are going to be able to handle that. You're all going to be outraged. But this other stuff, it's going to shake you to your core. And it doesn't matter. And also understand that this is also their religion. This is what they believe. They believe they have the right to do this. They truly believe that. So if you think that all of this lockdown stuff and everything is going to go away, it's not, because they already believe that this should have been done a long time ago. They did not believe for a second that we should be free. So this lockdown is what they believe. And if you think it's going away, it's not. It's only going to get worse. I mean, what's going to happen when the fines don't work anymore? Oh, you're out after curfew. Here's your $1,500 fine. What happens when that doesn't work? The only direction that can go is to be escalated. So now, okay, you're out after curfew. Now you're going to get locked up. At first, we're only going to lock you up for the night. Then we'll start locking you up for a week. And if we don't like what you posted on Facebook, we might not let you out at all. This is where we're heading. And if you don't see it, again, you're only operating off of one brain cell. At least if you had two, you would understand. If you had three, you'd see it plain as day. But yeah, go read some history. This is how shit starts. Go read how Germany started. Go read how Russia started. Yeah, well, actually, Russia was actually an extreme case. But look at how Germany started. Start slow. First, just you know, if you didn't agree with the party, you got censored. You couldn't publish a book. You couldn't teach in a university. Then a year later, you're talking in the street. Next thing you know, you're being picked up by police. Yeah, they put you in jail for like overnight, but then they let you back out. But then the second time they pick you up, you disappear. So it starts with that person, and then there's another person that's saying shit we don't like. Well, you know what? We already got away with getting rid of this other guy. Let's go pick them up and let's get rid of them too. We'll figure out something. Charge you with false crimes. You didn't pay your gas bill. Well, gee, sir, how can I pay my gas bill? I don't have no money. Not our problem. You broke the law. In jail you go. And then from there, God only knows. I mean, once they got you under lock and key, they can do whatever they want to you. They can jab you with a virus and say, "Oh, he died of COVID." This is how they're going to cover it all too. All the deaths in these future concentration camps. They died of COVID. Who's going to know? Media is bought and paid for. Who's going to tell you the truth? This is the path that is open to us. If this is the path you want, then embrace inequity. Stifle free speech. Cut the tongue off the president. Who would have imagined such a world 100 years ago?
Yeah, I guess in conclusion, I'm not afraid of a whole lot, but if I were to be honest, I would be not even afraid, but I would feel upset, I guess, that it isn't only the ignorant who suffer for being ignorant.
That is the part.
Stupid people suffered for being stupid, or stupid people suffered for their decisions.
That's the part that fears me, that scares me the most. Is all the good people are going to be sucked down by the stupid. All the intelligent people are going to be destroyed in favor of the ignorant and stupid.
And it may be uncharitable, but if I'm to be perfectly honest, I have enough of an ego to say that I wish there were a little more justice in this world. Mm. Justice for all. How about we end on that?
Justice for all. Yes, justice for all. Equal justice for all.
Yes.
Anyways, we should wrap it up. So this has been Crow.
This has been Peter.
And together, we hope we answered your questions, or at least give you something to think about.
Thank you for watching.
Salute.